That's also part of flying again. OBS crashes. I don't know why I'm doing anything fancy. Well, I was, I guess, messing with my iPad here, but that shouldn't do much. Yes, we are overflying the VORTAC. Should change. See the change here from to from. Very, very soon. Boom, there's from. Okay, make that change. Now we fly that first track. 1 minute turn. As long as it's not your 172, yes, crap. But I mean, those programs like OBS and that stuff, it should just work. It should just work. And somehow it just keeps crashing, and I've just updated Windows and also OBS. And you think, well, the guys should have fixed that crashing, but apparently it does not. Don't know what's going on there. Anyways, waiting until that heading bar hits the bottom, because then we're flying that downwind leg of our holding, which is a very inappropriate name to call it, but it reminds me of a traffic pattern that we're flying. And there we go. And now we set our target. Boom. 1 minute. Racetrack flying. Also, what I'm noticing now, that I'm much more familiar with the 172 SP, even though this is the reality extension pack, that fuel flow is far too low. That's not realistic. I'm also a bit worried about the oil temperature that's so low still. It's 2 degrees outside, but still. Which is fun. That's stuff that you just know the performance tables. You know what to expect. That's, yeah. 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Standard rate turn. So now we're going to go back. This heading bar goes up, but our primary focus here is to catch that once more, that radial inbound, 304-ish. But it should correspond nicely. Oh, we already crossed that needle, as you can see. It's a bit weird, actually. Perhaps because we're not flying that inbound leg as precise as we should have. Let's see if we can correct it once more. So we need to overturn. So we catch that needle once more, not too much. Let's get to 6,500 instead. Let's get a little bit more serious. There comes the needle. Still in sync with our... Oh, we're really, really close. That's why. 2. Expect that switch anytime. There it goes. Boom. And let's make the turn. I've already stopped the timer there. Learning and getting new, not exactly scrap. Exactly. precise with my turning there. Turning great. Coming up to our outbound leg. There we go. Nose down trim. I should fly a little bit to the right here. 12. Well, you can see our heading indicator is off. That explains. So we're actually flying 132, but here we're flying 125. So we're actually flying much more inbound to our inbound leg, if you catch my drift, literally. That's why we ran short earlier. So that's also why, as an IFR pilot, and I think that rep is doing this, which is really, really important. That's why you need to check and check and check, verify, cross-check your heading indicator with your compass, because it's running away from you and it can mess you up, as you can see. Think about doing this in the IMC, and this is your chance to capturing the ILS, and you're 30 degrees off because you're not syncing your heading indicator. So let's see if we can already pass that minute while I was adjusting. Go. Accelerate turn. Let's increase that turn a bit because we have been drifting towards. Let's see what that does. Rather be short. There's that needle. And I'm descending. Just not good. Better. A little bit overshooting there to catch that needle. Reset. And there we are. Okay. So that's an important lesson that I have not been practicing using my iPad and all kinds of other very neat holding pattern practice apps, which is really, really cool. Just in the bed, in my own bed, in the bedroom with my iPad. I was just practicing and flying holding patterns, which is really, really good. And also the entries, highly recommended. So, what I am going to do now is this. We are there. You can see here are our patterns. You can see here I overshot. Let's bring us somewhere else. Let's say we are over there, and we're turning a bit inbound. Why do I not see my airplane change? Well, don't really care. Something like this. And we like to fly the same holding pattern. So here we are. First thing you need to do is fly inbound to that VOR, to that fix that defines your... It's going to be south. And it's the 2 reading. Very close. Stick at 6,500 for now. Good. There we are. You set your heading bug to the inbound heading that you need to fly for that inbound leg or your holding pattern, which was already set, 304. And based on where that heading bug is, you remember that compass range that I showed you at the beginning of the flight. I'm already over the VOR. This is a parallel entry. You just need to remember there are 3 heading ranges where that heading bug could be, and depending on where the heading bug is in reference to your direct heading towards that fix, holding fix, you know what kind of entry you need to fly. And I just project my those heading ranges on my heading bug here. Should have also, by the way, hit my stopwatch. And so I know what entry to fly. There are 3. One is a direct entry, so when that heading bug, when you're flying inbound to your holding pattern, is somewhere in front of you, yeah, you can just enter directly, right? And if it's here at that left bottom, it's going to be a teardrop entry, and when it's at the right, it's a parallel entry. And yeah, if you just remember those, you're ready to go. Now let's shorten that leg because I was a bit too late while I was chatting around. So we're now flying the inbound leg of our holding pattern outboundly. That's what a parallel entry suggests us to do. Let me know, how's the plane build going? It's going well, sir. Thank you for asking. Just first IFR training, because that's so fun as well. I'd love to be able to fly IFR on PilotEdge. So that's 1 minute. Reset it. Left standard rate turn, I'm going to increase it because I'd like to capture beyond that needle before we reach the vortag. Say, oh, I'm not paying attention here. Something like this. This one should be at 304. There it comes. Sloppy with my engines. And there we are. Now again on the inbound leg for our holding pattern, and we do the same thing. Once we hit the vortag, we make those turns. And again, verify. That's something that I wasn't that aware of. Cross-reference that holding or that heading indicator with your compass because it apparently drifts off. Okay, once more, and then we're gonna go back. Yes, we're gonna do the teardrop. So let's say around here. This gives a little bit more room. There. Boom. That doesn't seem right. Oh, once I Palm Springs, perhaps I'm a little bit too close then. Yeah, I don't have a sense of distance. There we are. Okay, so let's turn from, well, whatever direction. Again, 304. Back to allegiance. Come on. Last run, Tim. It's gonna go east in a bit. Very close. 4 points. Easterly. Come on, up. Good. Very good. Inbound first. Needle is set. Yeah, this is a typical teardrop entry. Right, steady on that altitude. Come on, focus. There we go. This power. Good. 3.4 nautical miles to go. Nose down trim. And again, if you're curious to learn how to do these entries, hop over to UncertifiedPilot.com. First or latest blog post, holding pattern H, you can download a PDF for free where I explain what I'm doing here. And I think this is the most easy way to remember how to do these holding patterns. All kinds of strategies explained which are really weird, so much too complex. I think this is much more easy to remember. Catching that needle. trim. There. Now we're a little bit in luck because for the teardrop entry we need to fly 30 degrees. So if here's the vortex, 30 degrees, a little bit to the left, and then make a right turn and enter that 304 inbound leg. And incidentally now, because we're now overflying that vortex, our heading bug is already exactly 30 degrees from our current heading. 10, 20, 30. So we are already flying the teardrop heading. So now keep on flying for 1 minute then. So we're now flying across the holding pattern racetrack, you could say, in that intersection. To keep flying at 30 degrees, other direction, 20 or 25. So there we go, 30 seconds on the clock. We're going to make that right turn and enter the 304 inbounds. That's something that we can already set. That's also something that I can improve, I guess. Preparing my shit. 1 minute, making the turn, a little bit of a nose up there because we're turning, increasing my bank further than a standard rate turn because I like to be early rather than too late. Stop the clock, reset it. Alright, keep it here. And we're gonna catch that needle. There it comes. Turn. A little bit more shallow. A bit more shallow. And there we are, back on that inbound heading. Good. So yeah, if I need to review this, I'm quite aware of the holding pattern entries and know conceptually what I need to do. I'm a bit sloppy now with the altitude. The last one worked pretty well. It's just focus, I guess, and a little bit too casual feeling. And yeah, syncing my compass with my heading indicator, important. That doesn't only apply to holding patterns, but just in general flying IFR. And perhaps a little bit more careful, thinking a little bit more ahead when I'm doing these things. So resetting my OBS in preparation of blah blah blah. Okay, let's head back to Palm Springs and land this puppy. Call it a day. Very hard. The danger is here when you go full idle at this altitude and for such a long time that you might actually shock cool your engine. You can imagine while you're flying at cruise, especially when you're at full power, your engine is actually quite warm. And when you suddenly just pull on that throttle, and slow down, all that air rushes into the engine, the metal, the material of your engine cylinders are so extensively cooled that the material cannot handle that. And you can have all kinds of weird behavior in the engine. That might be fun, perhaps, just for training purposes. Engine off. There we go. Off, 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 off. I mean, we're not flying any procedural stuff here, so why not squeeze every inch of training out of this exercise. Okay, so engine is off. It's just weather vaning here. Seems to be running still a bit. So it seems. Let's pull up a bit. Yeah, there it goes. Alrighty. So, gliding. Gliding speed. So nose up. That's 76-ish. There we are. 76. Airport is down below. Obviously we're not going to troubleshoot anything because this is what we did ourselves. What a beautiful scenery. Man, 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 man. I miss this stuff. Look at that. Staying close to that runway. And Palm Springs has such a big runway here, that 3-1 left, which is ideal for an emergency landing. There we go, flying that left downwind. Yeah, imagine that this would actually happen, an electrical failure, engine failure in IMC. I mean, also now our turn indicator is not working, it's electrically driven. Attitude doesn't work, only the PILOT tube and the altimeter and the vertical speed works, and the heading indicator doesn't work either. No, because that's also obviously electrical, or vacuum based, and so electrical. Yeah, so the compass, yeah, this is just the plain old way of flying. Alright, let's see if we can do this. You can see that the visibility worsens as we go down to the ground. That's a bit weird. So I guess I don't quite understand the interface of X-Plane when I set my weather. I thought that it was just at any altitude that particular visibility. But alright, pushing left rudders, throwing my butt in the wind. So we drop down faster. This might actually be a challenge. We're too high. And we're going fast. Alrighty, some trim. a lot of energy under our wings, so let's bleed that off, and our Skyhawk will tell us when she's ready to land. There she is. Goes down. Let's clear that runway so that it can be used by others if we were on PilotEdge. Alright, that completes our flight today. That was really, really nice. So holding patterns and a SID. Well, and again, I get the plating. I get the tracks that we can fly. There might be some variations, but I don't think it's that necessary to go through each and every variation of a SID, let alone an arrival. So that's something that I need to look at. Thank you, Scrab, and thank you for dropping by. Have a great night. Bye. Yeah, and also with the holding patterns, I get the entries and stuff. We just flown a VOR-based, Vortec-based holding pattern. It might be relevant also to fly a NDB, but I think it's not that difficult. So yeah, don't like to spend too many flights on stuff that's actually quite obvious. I just need to get flying my IFR flights, also on PilotEdge, chatting like an IFR pilot as soon as possible. So that's something that I'm going to do. Alrighty then. So that completes today's flight. Man, after not flying for several weeks, this is good stuff. Also need to review some of my videos there to rehearse or remember the stuff that I already studied and that I already know. And then move forwards. Holding patterns. I will take a look at some arrivals. Perhaps there are some interesting ones that are challenging, or that might cover stuff that's so new, or that particular that we really need to practice it. That might be interesting. And then we move on to holding patterns, which we can also compress a bit more, I guess, into just a fewer flights. And then the big chunk, just the instrument approaches, all of the different variations, GPS based, VOR, NDB, ADF approaches. That's going to be really, really exciting. So that's up next. Total in the entire month of March, I will be flying IFR, so I'm extending my postponing my build of the 172 for April and further on. First, I'm going to continue with my IFR flight training. So if you're particularly interested in that, then March is going to be a really, really interesting month of flying, and I think it is. Thank you again, guys, for watching. Thank you for your encouragements. Aika, thank you for your resubscription. As always, that's much appreciated. Thank you guys for just saying hi, and thank you for just joining in and keeping that support going. Really much appreciated. And as always, happy flights and blue skies. Bye. False Springs Towers.
Pablo Delta Tango, Indy 19, Palm Springs Towers, walk 6250. 6250. Pablo Delta Tango, Indy 19, Palm Springs Delta is 2985 radar contact, about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, you're requesting straight up for 13.
That's it. Yes, please.
Correction, Pablo Delta Tango, Indy 19, straight in runway 13 left, and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Pablo Delta Tango, Indy 19.
Palm Springs clearance, plus 4658, type PC 12, stand call, frequency clearance to Vegas S-file.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S-file, I'll be forward to 7. Plus 4658.